Some of the most celebrated features from 1960s child car seats were not just unsafe, they are now completely illegal. You cannot buy them, you cannot install them, and when you see number 18 you will understand exactly why these had to be outlawed. In a frontal collision, that little metal hook holding the seat in place would snap under forces it was never designed to withstand. The seat became a projectile. The child inside became the secondary impact. That is not a design flaw. That was the actual intended function. If you have ever wondered why modern car seats have installation manuals thicker than some owner handbooks, it is because every single regulation was written after someone buried a child who did not have to die. Hit subscribe because I am walking through all 25 designs that would send every safety engineer into cardiac arrest. Number 1. The hook over seat design. This was the most common child seat in the early 1960s. A simple metal frame with canvas stretched across it. You hooked it over the front bench seat of your car and your toddler sat facing you while you drove. Adorable, completely lethal. In any collision over 15 miles per hour, that hook would either bend open or the entire seat back would tilt forward, launching the child directly into the dashboard. There was no retention system. No anchor point rated for crash forces, just a bent piece of tubular steel catching on upholstery. Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 213 now requires every child restraint to withstand dynamic crash testing at specific G-forces, with dedicated lower anchors and tethers rated for thousands of pounds of tensile strength. That hook was rated for the weight of a stationary toddler and the hope that nothing bad would happen. Those canvas seats sold in the millions because parents genuinely believed something was better than nothing. They were wrong. Number 2. The dashboard-mounted infant carrier. This thing clipped directly onto your dashboard. You would strap your infant into a little plastic shell and then clip that shell onto the top of your metal dashboard so the baby faced you while you drove. Brilliant for eye contact, catastrophic for physics. In a frontal impact, that baby was already positioned exactly where your head would go if you were not wearing a seatbelt. The mounting clips were designed to hold the carrier steady during normal driving. They were not designed to hold anything during a collision. The carrier would detach, the infant would continue forward, and the windshield was right there. Modern infant carriers must rear face and be secured to the vehicle structure with either a seatbelt or latch system positioned in the back seat. Those dashboard mounts were marketed as convenience items. Keep your baby close. Watch them while you drive. Every single one was a death sentence waiting for the right impact angle. People used these every single day. Number 3. The car bed. Exactly what it sounds like. A padded rectangular bed designed to sit on the back bench seat of your car so your infant could sleep during long trips. No straps, no anchors, just a bed on a seat, in a moving vehicle. The idea was that bobbies sleep better lying flat, which is true in a stationary crib and irrelevant in a 2-ton vehicle capable of sudden deceleration. In a panic stop, that bed and everything in it would slide forward into the front seat backs or onto the floor. In a collision, it became airborne. Current standards require that all child restraints keep the child contained within the device during a crash, with specific retention requirements for the head, torso, and limbs. A car bed had no retention anything. It was nursery furniture placed in a kinetic environment. Parents thought they were being thoughtful, letting babies sleep comfortably. The comfort ended the first time someone hit the brakes hard, if the baby was lucky. Number 4. The booster seat with no back and no sides, just a little padded platform that lifted your child high enough to see out the window. You put your kid on it, ran the lap belt across them, and that was it. The problem was not the height. The problem was what happened to a small torso when a lap-only belt loaded during a crash. Submarining. The child would slide under the belt. The belt would ride up into the abdomen. Internal organs would compress against a nylon strap moving at crash speed. Spinal injuries, liver lacerations, intestinal ruptures. Booster seats now require either high backs with side wings or specific vehicle compatibility to ensure correct belt geometry across the shoulder and hips. A lap belt alone on a small child is a mechanism for abdominal trauma. These booster cushions were in every family sedan, completely legal, killing kids in survivable crashes. Number 5. The metal frame seat with the vinyl strap chest harness. This was an upgrade model in the early 60s. Tubular steel frame, vinyl-covered padding, a single chest strap that buckled in front. It looked substantial. It was not. That chest strap was designed to keep a child from climbing out during normal driving. It was not designed to restrain a child during deceleration. In a frontal crash, the child would load into that strap, and the strap would either break or the sternum would. Chest injuries in young children from single strap restraints included fractured ribs, cardiac contusions, and collapsed lungs. Modern 5-point harnesses distribute crash forces across the shoulders, hips, and between the legs. No single point of contact, no chest loading. Those vinyl straps were department store items, sold next to strollers and playpens. Nobody tested them, nobody had to. Number 6. The seat that installed with the vehicle lap belt. You threaded your car lap belt through slots in the seat frame and buckled it. That was the installation. The problem was that those slots were not engineered channels. They were just gaps in plastic. Under crash forces, the belt would saw through the plastic, the seat would tilt, and the child would go with it. Installation failure was the leading cause of child restraint ineffectiveness in the 60s and 70s. A seat that is not secured to the vehicle is not protecting anyone. It is just heavy cargo. Latch systems introduced in 2002 require dedicated metal anchors built into the vehicle structure and corresponding connectors on the child seat, eliminating belt misrouting and providing a mechanical connection rated for specific loads. Those belt-through slots were guesswork. People guessed wrong constantly. The first sharp impact would show them exactly how wrong. Number 7. The front-facing infant seat. Infants under 1 year old were placed in forward-facing seats in the front passenger seat so parents could see them. Everything about that sentence is wrong now. Infants have disproportionately large heads and weak neck muscles. In a frontal crash, a forward-facing infant experiences forces their cervical spine cannot withstand. The head snaps forward. The neck hyperextends. Spinal cord injuries, paralysis, death. Rear-facing seats distribute crash forces across the entire back and head support, keeping the spine aligned. The American Academy of Pediatrics now recommends rear-facing until at least age 2, and many convertible seats accommodate rear-facing to 40 pounds. Those front-facing infant seats were standard. Pediatricians recommended them. The recommendation was based on nothing. When crash testing finally started, the injury data was immediate and horrifying. Number 8. The canvas sling seat with no frame, just fabric and 2 hooks. You hooked it over the front seat, put your child in it, and the fabric held them in a seated position. In a crash, the fabric would stretch, the child would load forward, and there was nothing rigid to prevent compression or contain movement. Soft goods alone cannot manage crash forces, you need structure. Modern seats use high-strength plastics, steel reinforcement, and energy-absorbing foam, all tested to withstand specific impact velocities. A canvas sling was a hammock in a car. It worked great until it did not. Then it worked like a catapult. If you are the kind of person who has ever wondered why we cannot just go back to simpler times, I have put together a decade-by-decade breakdown of every major child passenger safety regulation and the specific crash data that forced each one into existence. Real numbers, real standards. Grab it at the link in the description. Number 9. The seat with the metal tray table in front. This was premium. Your child sat in the seat and a metal tray locked into place in front of them so they could play with toys or eat snacks. In a crash, that metal tray was a blunt force instrument aimed at a small torso, chest and abdominal trauma. The tray itself would deform and crush inward. Children suffered rib fractures, organ damage, and crushing injuries to the thorax from the very feature designed to keep them entertained. Modern car seats have nothing rigid in the impact zone. Everything is padded, recessed, or energy absorbing. That metal tray was sold as a convenience feature. It converted a car seat into a mobile high chair. It also converted a minor accident into a major injury. Number 10. The seat that buckled with a single center release buckle. One button, press it and everything opens. Simple for parents, also simple for toddlers. Kids would unbuckle themselves mid-drive, but even when they stayed buckled, that single-point release created a structural weakness. The buckle was plastic. The forces in a crash were not. Buckle failure was common. Modern harness systems use metal buckles with specific release force requirements. They have to stay closed during a crash and open reliably afterward. That single plastic button did neither consistently. Parents loved the convenience, right up until their 3-year-old unbuckled themselves on the highway. Number 11. The backward-facing jump seat in the station wagon. Not technically a child's seat, but it is where kids sat. Rear-facing, no belts. In a rear-end collision, those kids took the full impact with nothing but a thin piece of sheet metal and a window behind them. No crumple zone, no headrest, no restraint, just children and glass. Rear impact standards now require head restraints, reinforced structures, and in many vehicles, additional airbags. Those jump seats were the best part of childhood road trips. You faced backward, watched the cars behind you, felt like you had your own private space. In the wrong collision, you became the crumple zone. Number 12. The car seat with the overhead shield. This was a late 60s innovation. Instead of straps, a padded bar swung down over the child head, locking in front of them. It looked futuristic. The problem was that in a crash, the child would load into that bar with their face and head. Facial fractures, skull injuries, neck compression. The shield was rigid. The child was not. Modern restraints keep the head and torso in the seat, not loaded against a stationary bar. Those overhead shields were marketed as easier than harnesses. No threading straps, just swing and lock. The crash test data eventually showed kids hitting that bar at full force. The design disappeared fast. Number 13. The seat that attached with suction cups. Yes, suction cups, small portable seats marketed for second cars or travel. You wet the suction cups, pressed them onto the vehicle seat and hoped. Under normal driving they held, under braking or cornering they would start to slip. Under crash forces they released instantly. A child seat held in place by suction is not held in place, it is temporarily positioned. Current regulations require mechanical retention systems, metal. Anchors, bolts, things that do not let go. Those suction cup seats were sold as convenience items for grandparents or carpools. They were convenience items right up until someone had to brake hard. Number 14. The hammock-style car bed that hung between the front and back seats. You attached it to the headrests or seat frames and your infant laid in a fabric hammock suspended inside the car. Gentle swaying motion, complete exposure. In any collision, the attachment points would fail, the hammock would collapse, and the infant would fall into the footwell or be thrown. There was no containment, no structure, no impact protection, just fabric under tension in a moving vehicle. Modern car beds, used only for specific medical conditions, are rigid structures that secure to the vehicle seat with tested anchors and retain the child within a protective shell. Those hammocks were sold in catalogs, advertised in parenting magazines, used by people who trusted that if it was for sale, it must be safe. That trust was misplaced. Number 15. The wicker car seat. Actual wicker woven like a basket with a little cushion inside. It sat on the vehicle seat and your child sat in it. Wicker is decorative, it is not structural. Under impact, wicker splinters, it collapses. It provides zero impact protection and creates secondary projectiles. Sharp, broken pieces of woven material in a confined space with a small child. Modern car seats use materials tested for impact resistance with no sharp edges and specific flammability standards. Wicker met none of those. It was nursery aesthetics applied to automotive safety. It looked charming, it performed like kindling. Number 16. The seat with the T-shaped metal bar restraint. A metal bar came up from the seat and split into a T across the child's chest. It looked industrial. It was industrial enough to fracture a sternum. That bar was rigid, it did not give. In a crash, the child loaded into it and the bar won. Thoracic injuries were common. Modern restraints use webbing with specific elongation properties to manage energy. The harness gives slightly, absorbing some of the force rather than transferring all of it into the body. A metal bar absorbed nothing. It just stopped the child, hard. Number 17. The seat that clipped onto a front bench seat with spring-loaded clamps. You squeezed the clamps, positioned the seat, and released. The clamps gripped the seat upholstery, not the frame, the upholstery. Under crash loads, the clamps would tear through fabric and foam, releasing the seat. Attachment to vehicle structure is non-negotiable now. Latch anchors are welded into the frame. Seatbelt installations loop through the seat belt anchor points, which are bolted to the chassis. Those spring clamps grabbed whatever was soft and accessible. The first real force would pull them free. Parents saw the clamps engage and thought that meant secure. It meant friction. Friction is not retention. Number 18. The car seat sold with no installation instructions. You bought it. You figured it out. The assumption was that installation was intuitive. It was not. Misuse rates for child restraints in the 70s were estimated above 80%. 80% of seats were installed or used incorrectly. Backward, forward, wrong belt path, wrong recline angle, no top tether. Every error reduced effectiveness. Some eliminated it. Modern seats come with detailed instructions, installation videos, and many retailers offer installation checks. NHTSA runs a certification program for child passenger safety technicians because leaving it to intuition killed thousands of children. Those uninstructed seats were sold in boxes. Parents did their best. Their best was often catastrophically wrong. Number 19. The booster seat made of cardboard, actual cardboard, pressed and laminated, marketed as lightweight and disposable. Cardboard compresses. It is designed to compress. That is why it is used for packaging. In a crash, a cardboard booster would collapse under the child, eliminating the height boost and changing the belt geometry into something even more dangerous. Modern boosters are high-strength plastic, tested for structural integrity under crash loads. Cardboard was cheap. It was light, it was available. It was also completely incapable of performing the one function it was sold to provide. Number 20. The car seat that required the child to hold onto handles. Little metal handles on the side of the seat. The child was supposed to grip them during the drive. That was part of the restraint system, a toddler grip strength. In a crash, the child would let go. Obviously, modern restraints are entirely passive. The child does not have to do anything. The system works whether they are awake, asleep, paying attention, or not. Those handle seats assumed cooperation from a 2-year-old during sudden deceleration. That assumption was delusional. Number 21. The seat with the single lap belt that buckled behind the child back. You could not see if it was buckled, you could not check the tightness. You reached behind, felt around, and hoped. If it was twisted, you would not know. If it was not fully engaged, you would not know until it released. Modern harnesses buckle in front with visual and tactile confirmation. You can see it, you can check it, you can verify engagement before you start driving. Those rear buckle seats were designed for aesthetics, clean front appearance. The functionality was hidden, so were the failures. Number 22. The inflatable car seat. This was experimental in the late 60s. An inflatable bladder that you blew up, placed in the car, and strapped your child into. The idea was lightweight portability. The reality was that any puncture would deflate the structure. A sharp toy, a pen, a zipper, anything could compromise the integrity. Modern car seats are rigid or semi-rigid structures that do not depend on air pressure for impact protection. Those inflatable seats were sold as travel solutions. Pack it flat, inflate on arrival, one puncture and you had a fabric sack with a child in it. Number 23. The car seat with metal springs in the seat cushion. Just like adult furniture, coil springs for comfort. In a crash, those springs would compress and rebound, bouncing the child during impact. Secondary impacts within the seat itself. The child would hit the harness, compress into the springs, and then rebound into the harness again. Modern car seat padding is energy-absorbing foam. It compresses and stays compressed, managing energy in one direction. Those spring seats felt comfortable. They performed like a trampoline during the worst possible moment. Number 24. The seat that relied on the vehicle armrest for side impact protection. It was designed to sit next to the armrest, using it as a side bolster. Armrests are not rated for impact. They are cosmetic padding over a metal frame. In a side collision, that armrest would collapse or the hinge would fail, providing zero protection. Modern car seats have internal side wings, energy-absorbing foam, and some include side impact airbags. They do not rely on any vehicle feature for structural protection. Those armrest-dependent seats were installed incorrectly in any seating position without an armrest, which was most of them. The design assumed a specific vehicle feature that was not universal, and even when it was there, it did not work. Number 25. The car seat with no expiration date because the concept did not exist. Seats were passed down through siblings, cousins, neighbors, and generations. Plastic degrades, harness webbing weakens, foam compresses permanently, metal fatigues. A seat from the 60s used in the 80s was already compromised before it was ever in a crash. Modern car seats have expiration dates, typically 6 years from manufacture. The materials have a service life. After that, they cannot be trusted. Those vintage seats were heirlooms, sentimental, dangerous. Using a 15-year-old car seat was like using a 15-year-old motorcycle helmet. The structure was already failing. Every single one of these regulations was written in blood, not theoretical risk. Actual children who did not survive crashes they should have walked away from. Engineers who had to write reports explaining exactly how a product failed and what it cost. Parents who thought they were doing everything right because nobody told them otherwise. Next time you spend 20 minutes installing a car seat, fighting with the latch connectors, reading the manual twice, and still second-guessing yourself, remember what it replaced. Remember that the difficulty is the safety. The old way was easy. The old way was killing kids at a rate we decided we could not accept anymore. Drop a comment and tell me which one of these you actually saw as a child, because if you are over 40, you probably rode in at least 3 of them. Next time I am walking through safety features that disappeared from cars in the last 10 years that you did not even notice were gone until I point them out. Some of them you used yesterday.